Blitz Uncommon Fossil. In the last couple of days, I've been looking at some expanded decks, and I found that enjoyable. So I'm continuing on with an expanded Welder Box. I really did enjoy Welder when it was in format. Those were some of my early days in Pokemon, so it's got a soft spot in my heart for it, and it is a very effective card, Welder, which we'll take a look at later, but it accelerates 2 fire energy to any Pokemon and draws 3. So the big attacker here is ReshiZard, which is Reshiram Charizard-GX, so a tag team Pokemon, gives up 3 prizes when it's knocked out, but 270 HP, fairly tanky. Certainly for its time period, it was tanky. It's got 3 attacks, all of which are good in the game and can do big damage. So the GX attack is Double Blaze, and if you go second, you're trying to pull this off turn 1 for 3 energy. It does 200 damage, so quite nice to be able to do option of 200 damage turn 1. With Welder, you can pull this off turn 1. If it has 3 extra energy attached, then that, which is 6 in total, then it does 100 more damage, so it's 300. Sometimes that's an option. Usually, though, you're double blazing with 3 energy early in the game. Then it's got 2 other attacks. As I said, they're all useful. Flare Strike, the middle attack, for 4 energy, does 230 damage. It can't use Flare Strike again the next turn. So you can't use Flare Strike, but you can use your other attacks, so that's a plus. And a lot of times then you will use Outrage the next turn. That's 2 energy, and it does 30 damage, plus 10 more for each damage counter on the Pokemon. So if you've been hit into, you have the potential for hitting back for big damage with it. So 2 copies of ReshiZard, very nice attacker. 2 copies of Entei V. Entei V attacks for just 2 energy, which I think is nice, having that a 2 energy attacker to use early in the game also, so if you can't get 3 energies onto ReshiZard when you want to. It's got 230 HP, so a decent level of HP for a 2 prize V. Burning Rondo does 20 damage for 2 energy, plus 20 more for each bench Pokemon, which could be a total of 10 if the benches are full, so 220 damage. And then Fleet-Footed ability lets you draw an extra card if it's in the active. So a third attacker here, a very fun one, Baby Blacephalon, single prize Pokemon, an Ultra Beast. It's got 2 attacks. Blazer does 10 damage, and then you turn over a prize card. If it's a fire energy, it does 50 more for 1 energy, so potentially 60 damage for 1 energy, but nothing to get too excited about. But Fireball Circus, 3 energy, does 50 damage per fire energy card you discard from your hand. So if you can get a bunch of fire energies in your hand, which you can you certainly can do with this deck, you can dish out big damage with Blacephalon. It's a matter of timing when to do it, because eventually if you start with this too early, you start chucking away energies too hard, too fast, too early, you do find yourself in a bit of trouble. Whoops, meant to hit the 4th attacker, Radiant Charizard. Familiar with this, most likely. Very good attacker. 5 energy, which is a lot. Does 250 damage. Can't attack the next turn, but it's probably knocked out at a 160 HP Pokemon, or you can try to switch out of it. Obviously, it's an option if you survive. But then Excited Heart makes the attack cost much better. The attack cost reduced 1 colorless energy for each prize card your opponent's taken. So if they've taken 4 prizes, 1 energy to do 250 damage. So very nice there. So 4 good attackers to choose from, I think, and then 4 support Pokemon to get the deck up and going. It plays the Jirachi with Stellar Wish ability. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon's your active spot, you may look at the top 5 cards of your deck and put a trainer there into your hand. Shuffle your deck. This Pokemon is now asleep, so you can't retreat with it under normal conditions, so you need a way to get it switch out of the active. But looking at the top 5 in any trainer, not just limited to items, and not just looking at the top 2 cards, but look top 5, any trainer into hand, because this deck needs Welder, as the deck is named Welder Box after all. Plays an Eldegoss V, which recently rotated, but it's got the Happy Match ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may put a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand, so very good for getting the supporter back you need that turn. Generally, Welder is what you want. The Dedenne-GX for its Dedenne change ability, where you play it to your bench, you can discard your hand and draw 6, so a super great card for setting up. And Crobat V, also a nice setup card, Dark Asset ability. Again, this just rotated, probably familiar with it. When it's played from your hand to your bench, you may draw until you have 6 cards in hand. So with Dedenne and Crobat, you really have some versatility to draw a bunch of cards on your turn and still you play your support and not have used up your supporter, right? Which is important because we need to get off that welder. So 14 energy, I think that count is about right. Still not entirely sure. So take a look through the trainers here. A mix of trainers, some new, some old. So Giant Hearth, 3 copies. A very nice stadium. Once during your turn, you may discard a card from hand. If you do, you search your deck for 2 basic fire energy, put them into hand. So very nice stadium to help get energies into hand, which we need for Welder. Maybe Blacephalon's attack force switch cards to get the Jirachi out of active, or switch ReshiZards or whatever we need. A useful card. Marnie, just 1 copy of that. It's occasionally a useful card, but it's not something you're relying on. So 1 copy I think is fine. 2 Guzmas, that is better than Boss, I think. You switch your opponent's active Pokemon and then switch your active Pokemon. Obviously gives it a little extra switch card, which is helpful if you want to stream ReshiZard's 230 attacks. 2 Big Charms, making the big Pokemon a little bit tankier. It's really nice on ReshiZard, right? Because then you get 30 more damage counters that can be placed on your Pokemon, which means you can dish out that much more damage on the revenge attack. 4 Pokégear, just help getting things set up, things going. 4 Quick Ball, we have a number of Pokemon that they're all basic, so Nest Ball would work, but we have a number of Pokemon with on-play abilities, so we need to get them into hand, not directly onto the bench. 1 Research just to help set up. Again, we may draw more likely to use a Pokégear or something to get it. So with 1, you're not going to hit it reliably, but we don't want to use it often either. So 4 Welder, the key card to the deck, play 4 copies. Would play more if we had to, but we can recover it for us. Should be fine for us. You attach 2 basic fire energy from your hand to one of your Pokemon. Can be the active, not restricted to the bench like Gardenia's Vigor. Then you draw 3 cards. So you draw 3 after you attach, so you need the 2 energies in hand before playing the Welder. But we have a lot of ways. We've already seen some to get energy into hand, and drawing 3 is definitely better than the 2 in Gardenia's Vigor. So Gardenia's Vigor is kind of a nerfed version of Welder, which is probably appropriate. Welder was super powerful, so reducing it probably is good. Now, part of why Welder was so good is we had these different ways to get energies into hand. We use Fiery Flint, a slightly older card. When we play this card, you may discard 2 other cards from hand. If you then you search for up to 4 basic fire energy, put them into hand, reveal them, shuffle your deck. So a great way to get those energies into hand. 2 of those. Perhaps we need some more of these cards. Or Fire Crystal, again, another item card. You put 3 basic fire energy from your discard pile into your hand. So another way, after we've discarded some energies, which we'll do periodically, we get some into hand. Then Heat Factory, a nice stadium. It is a Prism Star. I'll go over that shortly. But once during your turn, you may discard a fire energy. If you do, you draw 3 cards. As a Prism Star, a couple things. 1, it is not affected by an item or supporter played from your opponent's hand. So there were items and supporters that would bump a stadium. It's not impacted by that, which is fine. The big thing with Prism Stars, though, is twofold. 1, you can only have 1 copy of a particularly named Prism Star card, so you can only have 1 Heat Factory in deck. You could have other Prism Star cards, but that are just differently named than Prism Star. And then the other aspect is when it would be discarded, it goes into the lost zone instead. I don't have any recovery for the stadiums anyway, so it's fine going in the lost zone. It doesn't particularly matter. It is a way to get cards in the lost zone and might be a way to help turbocharge a lost zone deck, a current lost zone deck. So, but that might be a thought for another video. 2 Nest Balls, again, my attackers are all basics to help set up some. And then 2 Escape Board. This is here to help with the Jirachi, right? The retreat cost of the Pokemon this card is attached to is 1 less, so several cards that would do that. But then the really nice part, this card can retreat even if it's asleep or paralyzed. So the asleep doesn't matter, it can still retreat. That's why I like Escape Board. You could play net instead. That would allow you to potentially stream multiple Jirachis on a turn, but I like having the tool. It's just a little more consistent. You get the tool up and attached. You don't need to have a net in turn every turn. Because honestly, my experiences with welder decks in the past, I would often Jirachi would get a scoop up net, scoop up the Jirachi, send up another Jirachi. So I essentially had not improved my game state at all. I had just I just kind of used my Jirachi to get the Jirachi out of the active, just to play another Jirachi, right? With the Escape Board, then whatever card I can get a playable card with Jirachi, and I'm guaranteed to get Jirachi out. It makes it less, but I can only probably do one Jirachi per turn. So it's got its pluses and its minuses. I like the Escape Board approach. If you want to be more turbo heavy, I think you put in 4 scoop up nets and maybe even 4 Jirachis, right? You could really streamline the deck that way. All right, so Jirachi and Switch is not a bad start, and get a mulligan up against Lugia Archeops. I should have scanned down, see what else they're playing, see what their attacks are, but I just kind of got to do my thing here, right? This is an aggressive deck. I just need to set up and go. So take the 2. Okay, did not get a... So Dunsparce, that doesn't matter. It reduces weakness. Probably that was the only Pokemon they had in their hand. Right, so their colorless Pokemon have no weakness. Playing Lumineon. That's okay. I guess that's all they had in their hand to play. And obviously, if you have Lumineon and Dunsparce, you start Dunsparce. Irida, of course, they can't use it this turn. So perhaps that's just so they can... So that was a bad start for them, which I do like. All right, what do I want to do here? Do I want to... Let me Pokégear first, see what I hit. So I have Welder, and I have a bunch of energy. I have Switch, so I need to get a Pokemon in play. All right, so let's see. So Nest Ball seems very nice to me. So this is a good start. I don't want to... All right, so I want to... Maybe I'd use Entei. See, the question is, I'm thinking I use Entei here. I was going to go ReshiZard, but I don't. But I'd have to probably burn the GX attack, and I'd like to save that. It's very good. So I'm going to do Entei, Welder to Entei. He attacks for 2. I might be able to attach a 3rd energy this turn. I have my attachment per turn I haven't done still, so that's good. All right, so... Let me switch into the Entei. Let me use his ability here. So I have Knockout. See, that's why, since it's a... Okay, Switch is always a nice card. So I want to... I think I wait on my Stadium. I want to get rid of one of these guys. Do I want the Research next turn? I think I might want to Research next turn. It's a pretty nice hand to set up for next turn. They're both... I only play one of both because the way I built this deck. I'll do that. It's a very solid turn here. And I will just end. Big Rondo for 80. My opponent hasn't done much. See what happens. So Radiant Charizard's a nice Pokemon to have. I may play it down. Again, I don't have any recovery of any type. Well, no, I have energy recovery, right? I'm all about the fire energy. So they might be grabbing another Lumineon. They are. They probably will get Archeops into the discard. They'll get at least one, right? They have the Ultra Ball. They have Incense. Let's see. Get rid of 2 Archeops. Not surprised based upon their hand size there. So play down the Lugia. See what happens here. I have to think this through a little bit. I hit Welder. Welder is nice. Okay, so I will Welder to Entei. To my ReshiZard. So now I have Knockout on him. I like that. I will draw my card here. This deck has set up very nicely for me. So I do have the choice in this turn of which way do I want to attack also. So do I want to get something else down? I don't know if I even do. I might want to bench the Radiant Charizard. He's not that useful yet, though, is he? So my stadium, do I want to attack? Which attack do I want to use? See, I could use the big attack later on. I think I use the 230. I have the potential of... I guess I'll toss someone down onto the bench, right? I'll put down a Blacephalon. I like him. I'm just trying to thin a little bit there too, right? I'm going to do the 230 attack because I have the... If I hit Welder, I can one-shot the Lumineon V-Star with the GX attack. Then it needs 2 more energies. Oh, I should have attached Big Charm. So that was a major mistake there. That could cost me here. That could cost me big time. Yeah, that was a major misstep on my part, not attaching Big Charm. I'm pretty sure I had that in hand. So I get Marnied. So we'll see. They have 1 powerful energy, so they're at 240. So they're going to probably knock me out. They need 2 more powerful energies. They probably have them, is my guess. Because they probably play 4. They probably have at least 3 in deck. That's most likely the scenario. So let's see if they attach 2 powerful energy. Power. Oh, no, one's a V-Guard. Okay. They have another Archeops coming, though. So right now, they're missing by 10. I should have attached the Big Charm because that would have put me... They would have had to have 4 powerful energy, which isn't so likely. And that's a... So I think they're coming up 10 short. So that I do like. So I don't have the energy in hand that I want, though, right? That's a problem too. So the 260. So I can do. So I actually with my first. Actually, I'm not going to use the GX attack. I'm going to use. So that's quite nice for me, right? Let's see what I hit here. I hit nothing. All right, I'm going to attack with him. Do I want to get something going here, though? I think I do, right? I assume they're going to knock me out next turn. I think I need to set up some, right? So I think I need maybe Crobat this turn. I'll Crobat. I'll attach to Blacephalon. Play Crobat. This is the, with the expanded, you do have just many things to choose from, right? Which is quite nice. All right, I will just sit on this. I will take the knockout here. All right, the V-Guard energy doesn't help against GXs, so this might just be a pre-rotation Lugia deck. So anyway, I'm very vulnerable, obviously. All right, got the Dedenne. That's nice too. 5, 6. So I miss knockout on Entei. And now the Jirachi has the Escape Board, so again, the way this deck is built, it is setting up quite nicely here, right? I assume I'll be knocked out, right? They'll knock me out for 3 prizes with their Archeops. I just need to knock out the Archeops. Capture energy that they might be attacking with something else, right? See what they play. Radiant Charizard. Okay. That is certainly fine. I have a Radiant Charizard in my deck. They're going to take 3 prizes, so Radiant Charizard would attack for 2 energy, which would also certainly get me the game with that. Again, I need Welder, though. I need Welder really to do whatever. I need Welder, basic, period. So obviously they're okay, so it's up to 180, but Radiant Charizard would knock it out. Entei is going to come up short, though. So let's see what happens here. Send up the Jirachi. I could fill 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think I do 160 with Entei, which is... I could... I could discard 2 cards, right? What's in the... I think I do want to thin down and get some energies, right? So I'll discard this guy. And this guy. I'm doing this largely to thin my hand because Welder gives me game, period. So I do have the Dedenne too, but I don't want a Dedenne now, right? Because I have all these energies in hand, so I need that stinky. Oh no, wait, that. All right, so what does that get me? Oh wait, I believe. So if I have Eldegoss, right? Welder's in the discard, so let me get rid of. I'll get rid of the Dedenne. I need Eldegoss, Welder, and then I have Knockout, right, with Blacephalon. So that gives me game. So Welder, thank you. Attach. My opponent should be aware that I have game at this point. Retreat. And I do 200 damage right now, which is plenty. That's exactly what I need, right? I mean, I need 180, but I can't do, right? There's multiples of 50. So there we go. 200. Boom. So the deck works well, I got to say. It's a fun deck. The ability to get energy from the deck, from the discard pile, with stadiums, with items, accelerate with Welder. It's a really fun deck, a lot of pieces. I enjoy it. I encourage you to take a look, give the deck a try. It sets up pretty well. Even when it doesn't quite set up optimally, it still is pretty effective. If you were fond of the Welder days, don't be afraid to try it out and expand it. If you're not familiar with Welder, it's certainly an archetype worth your time getting to know. So enjoy the deck and take care.